Hey guys, what is going on? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here. Welcome back to the Fragrance Well. It is that time again, time for the monthly haul of July. Picked up quite a few fragrances for this July, quite a few more than I had in June, so this video should have a little bit more content-wise than the June version of this had. And you know what? I picked up a lot. I don't know how many I did. I didn't count them, but we're gonna go through them all right now. Before we get started, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Remember to hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I upload new content. All right, let's get into it. All right, guys, so in no particular order, Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill is the first one. Talked about this a little bit on the channel up to this point. Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill. So this fragrance here, beautiful lemon-like citrus opening, but primarily this is a very fruity and fresh fragrance. The fragrance to me is quite uplifting, but also very relaxing. The fruity quality of this is top-notch. I mean, I don't have any complaints about it. You got like sour fruitiness coming from notes like black currant. There's dates in here, so that gives it kind of a sweet quality. There's also some fig to give it a little bit of creaminess. I mean, the fragrance is just a very calming and relaxing and honestly a chill type fragrance. I think I told the story in a separate video where I went into the Louis Vuitton and I knew I was gonna pick up either Afternoon Swim or this. I ultimately landed on this, but I'm still definitely going to pick up Afternoon Swim. Both of these, in my opinion, are great summertime fragrances. Once again, from Louis Vuitton, Pacific Chill. Okay, so the next one's coming from the house of Parfum d'Empire, Ambre Rousse. Parfum d'Empire, Ambre Rousse. Now this fragrance here is an amber fragrance first and foremost, but talk about just high quality, true essence of what an amber fragrance should be. The fragrance is very resinous, it's syrupy, it's dense, very ambery, it's very woody. There's green facets to it. There's spiciness to it. Beautiful scent. I love this stuff. This was a blind buy for me and I was completely blown away by it. Now I honestly haven't given this too much wear. If I'm just being real, I'm not one to say, oh, you can't wear a thick fragrance in the summertime, but it is just far too hot even for me to wear something like this right now. So I'm saving this for when it cools off just a little bit. It doesn't even have to be cold. I just want it to cool off and not be as humid as it is right now. Now I will say, you need to be a fan of true amber fragrances to like this. I'm not saying if you aren't that you wouldn't appreciate it, but I don't think it would be one that you would necessarily go for as often as I might, in my opinion, me liking great, deep, and resinous amber fragrances. And the great thing about this is it doesn't cost all that much. I think I got this for maybe 70, 80 bucks off of fragrancebuy.ca. So a super quality fragrance for a great price. I don't think you can beat that, especially if you're a fan of amber fragrances. This is a good one. From the house of Parfum d'Empire, Ambre Rousse. All right, next up from the house of Mont Blanc. This is Explorer Platinum. Mont Blanc, Explorer Platinum. Now, I actually did a full review of this fragrance, so I will link that up above in that corner right there if you want to check that out. Now, this is a new release for this year. I will be completely transparent. This was basically a channel buy. I bought it specifically for the channel just to do a review of one of the newer fragrances that was out. I had not gotten my nose on this because I haven't seen it in any stores. If I had, honestly, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. But I have it, did a full review of it, did some wears of it. The fragrance is not all that wowing, to be honest, but it's not a bad fragrance. This is something that I think the average fragrance collector, connoisseur, whatever you want to call it, enthusiast, might not have any issues with. I myself don't hate the fragrance. I think it is good for what it is. It's just not that impressive. It's a little bit ozonic, kind of aromatic, a little bit of a woodiness to it, kind of amberiness to it as well. It is its own separate thing from the original Explorer, so, you know, don't expect it to be like some offshoot of another Aventus clone. And it is a very versatile fragrance too. You can pretty much use it for anything. I don't really see this being a specific type of fragrance for just one or two occasions. You can pretty much wear it anywhere. I don't think it would necessarily wow people, but it's not gonna put anybody off either. So, you know, it's a solid designer release, but that's about all I can say about it. Once again, Mont Blanc Explorer Platinum. All right, so this next one is from a house called Day 3 Fragrances. This is an independent fragrance house, La Tacita de Café. La Tacita de Café. Now let me tell you right now, this fragrance here is delicious. So this is gonna be a boozy coffee kind of fragrance with some spiciness to it and almost like a cocoa powder vibe. You can almost think of it like a very light, airy like chocolate cake, and you're drinking it with some boozy rum-like coffee or something like that. I've gotten a sample set from this house, and frankly, there was not one fragrance I was disappointed in. I may not necessarily want to own all of them, but I thought they were all excellent fragrances. Matter of fact, my next fragrance purchase will be from this house. You'll see that in later videos when I eventually get it. But this is a delicious fragrance. If you like gourmand fragrances, especially with, coffee-centered themes, yeah, I think you'll like this one. What I do like about this one is it is a very yummy fragrance, but you know what? It's not overly dense, and while that may sound like a bad thing to some people because they might think like, no, I want my fragrances full and rich, I actually like having a version of this style of fragrance and it not be like overly syrupy or too thick. Gives me more of a kind of I don't know what I would say dry, but it has an airiness to it to where now it's not too much and maybe I can wear it in other environments. I've actually worn this a couple of times in this Florida heat and I haven't found it to be too much, so I actually like that. I'm looking forward to see how it wears when it cools off a bit. You might just have to spray it a little bit more, but I don't mind having a fragrance that gives me this type of vibe, but it's not like super syrupy and rich. Really great fragrance from a really great indie house. I think this house is gonna do great things and is gonna grow in popularity in the community, in my opinion. Check it out if you haven't. They do have discovery kits. La Tacita de Cafe from Day 3 Fragrances. All right, since we're talking about independent houses, I got another one here from Get Right Fragrances. This is the Purple Label Clean Cashmere. Get Right Fragrances, the Purple Label Clean Cashmere. I also did a full review on this one, so I'll link that one above as well if you want to check it out. This fragrance is a sweet, fruity, kind of tropical fruity, creamy cashmere fragrance. Has a little bit of a fizziness to it. It's very warm and cozy and inviting. It's a solid release from this house. It's not my favorite release from the house, but I do like this one. It gives me something that I actually don't quite have in my collection. So I like having things that cover a section of a style of fragrance that I don't already have. As I said, I did do a full review on this, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail on this one. But once again, Get Right Fragrances, Get Right Fragrances, the Purple Label Clean Cashmere. All right, next one's from the house of Amarud. This is Lunar Vetiver. Amarud's Lunar Vetiver. This is my first fragrance from this house, so I'm looking forward to checking out some more of them. This was a blind buy, but I just kind of did a lot of research and I was like, all right, let me check out this one. And that was a good buy. So this one is going to be a spicy, kind of soapy vetiver fragrance. Think of it being kind of in the same style of Sultan Vetiver from Nishane, but where that fragrance is very floral and very dry. Like I said, this one is kind of spicy and soapy. Very high quality scent, definitely pushes off the skin. I don't know if I call it beast mode, but it is a strong fragrance. I've given it a couple of wears, but I haven't really worn it and with the intent of testing it. I actually wore it just to enjoy it, so I wasn't even thinking about how it performs or anything like that. I don't even think I've talked about this on the channel yet, but we're talking about it today and it will be featured in other videos for sure. Similar to Sultan Vetiver, you need to be a true fan of vetiver for this fragrance. This one is a very elegant, very professional, very serious form of vetiver. It's definitely not gonna be for the person who doesn't really enjoy a good, strong vetiver fragrance, and even every other aspect of it, even if the vetiver was removed, this fragrance is definitely not gonna be for everybody. Because I'm a fan of fragrances like Sultan Vetiver, that's why I took a chance on it. So if you're similar, maybe check out a sample first, but I don't approve blind buy for anybody, but I did blind buy this and it worked out for me. Amarud Lunar Vetiver. All right, next up from the house of Ormond Jane, this is Montebaco Intensivo. Montebaco Intensivo. If I have to guess, out of all the fragrances I have gotten out of the month of July, this is the one that's been worn the most. To be fair, I did take it with me on one of my traveling ventures for work, so I was gone a few days and I only bought one fragrance, so obviously it's the only one I wore. But honestly, it wasn't because I didn't think I was gonna like it. At first sniff, love this stuff. This is kind of an aroma, chemical heavy fragrance, so that's not a knock on it. It just kind of gives off a certain style, But first and foremost, this is actually a tea fragrance before it is a tobacco fragrance to me. The fragrance is very airy, it's very light and uplifting, it's calming, it's clean, it's very masculine. I recently put it in a signature scent video, so I think it's definitely worthy of that. Now the fragrance does have tobacco in it. To me, it just comes out more so in the dry down. It gives really nice sillage, smells amazing in the air to me, and it lasts a pretty good long time. It has isogamma super in it, you know, that's kind of a cedar-like molecule that's used in a lot of fragrances these days, and it is known to give fragrances a little bit more longevity. It's definitely doing that in here, and that dry cedar nature definitely comes out with this. It's also missing with stuff like moss, so the fragrance has a dryness to it. Really great scent from the House of Ormonde Jane. This is Montebaco Intensivo once again. All right, next up, we got a couple of fragrances from the House of Arabian Oud, so I might as well just do them all at once. So, first off, this is Blue Oud. Arabian Oud, Blue Oud. This was a gift from my wife for my birthday / anniversary. They're both back to back. So let me tell you about this right here. If you want to know if you have any real appreciation for just pure oud, the real stuff, this fragrance here will test that theory. What I love about this stuff is it can give you all of the characteristics that oud can convey in perfumery. The fragrance literally only has Cambodian oud and Indian oud mixed in with a little bit of musk, and that's it. But the fragrance has this like full note breakdown, not listed, but this full note breakdown giving you all this stuff from just this couple of ingredients. You obviously get woodiness from it, but you also get green like accord. You get incensey, smoky like accord. You get a little bit of a leathery vibe. You get green notes. There's a little bit of sweetness that comes with it, and the fragrance transitions like crazy. It's insane. You really get an appreciation for why oud is one of the most expensive raw materials on the planet. And on top of that, the fragrance is beast mode. I mean, you know, it's raw oud oil. Oud is definitely something that does not take a lot in order to fill up a space. Now, if you look up this fragrance, some people are gonna say it's animalic. To me, it's basically animalic as soon as you put it on, and it only lasts for like 5 minutes, and even then, it's not the most animalic thing I have smelled by a long shot. So it does have kind of a barnyard vibe just a little bit up front, but it goes away so quick, and then you just get to experience all these beautiful notes that just oud oil on its own can give you. Now here's what's cool about this. If you buy the gift set, which I don't know if they don't sell the gift set, but if you buy the gift set, you also get just the raw oil, the pure oil. And I don't know if you can see it, but you see the color of that? Hang on. Yeah, you see how deep, dark, ambery that stuff is? Boy, is it strong, and boy, does it smell amazing. Oh my goodness. So, you know, you can mix this with that, and next thing you know, you just got a powerhouse of a fragrance, probably lasts for you for 2 days. So once again, from Arabian Oud, this is Blue Oud. All right, also from the House of Arabian Oud, this is Madawi Gold. So this was also a birthday / anniversary gift. She basically got one for each, so yeah. But Madawi Gold Edition. If you know anything about this fragrance, let's just call it a super syrupy sweet pineapple fragrance supported with things like red fruits, tonka, vanilla, and a little bit of florals. A super sexy pineapple fragrance. As you can imagine, because it's as dense as it is, it definitely has some lasting power. It definitely has some push off the skin, smells delicious in the air, great for like a midday date or even a late night date. Definitely dense enough to be like a fruity tropical cold weather fragrance. But if you don't overspray it, I think it can work even in the high heat because it has that just pineapple pop to it. I'm really liking this one because it gives me a little bit of a contrast from Kajal's Lamar. While that one is also a pineapple, red fruits, kind of sparkly fragrance, that one's not really dense and syrupy, but this is. So it gives me the best of both worlds. Once again from Arabian Oud, this is Madawi, the Gold Edition. All right, so the last one from the House of Arabian Oud, this is Majestic. Arabian Oud Majestic, I think this is the last fragrance I got for the month of July. So this one here, I actually went into an Arabian Oud boutique while I was in Philadelphia for work. Had some time to stop by there. Checked out quite a few fragrances because, you know, they have a lot of stuff. But I specifically really wanted to buy something that is an oud fragrance that can work in warmer weather, and this one achieves that. It's very bright in the opening. Think of it kind of smelling a lot like flowers blooming in the springtime. So I would say first and foremost, great springtime fragrance. But once the flowers kind of dry down, it just becomes a smooth, creamy, blonde, woody type fragrance. So the oud in here is not super strong. You got like sandalwood and frankincense in the base of the fragrance. So it just creates this nice, soft, woody fragrance. I will say this much though, those flowers that come across in the opening of the fragrance is a little bit spicy as well. It is strong, and honestly, I think I go anosmic to it, so I kind of got to be careful about that. This fragrance did spawn quite a few flankers. It's one of their older releases. Well, not older releases, but I think it came out like 2011, and it does have quite a few flankers for it. They actually have a Majestic Platinum that is by far clearly just meant to be a summertime release of the scent, but I wanted this one because it had a little bit more character to it. So once again, from Arabian Oud, this is Majestic. Beautiful bottle too, by the way. This thing has got some heft to it. All right, next up from the house of Francesca Bianchi, we have Lost in Heaven. Francesca Bianchi's Lost in Heaven. So this is only a 30 ml bottle, so small bottle, but man, look, first of all, look at the color of that juice. Very strong stuff. It is an extrait de parfum. Now this one here is animalic. There is a lot of cumin in this, and you know cumin can kind of come across smelling like BO. But let me tell you right now, if you are a fan of old school men's fragrances, especially something like YSL's Kouros, you're gonna like this stuff. To me, it's definitely a very mature fragrance. This is gonna appeal to guys that are a little bit older, and like I said, older and also fans of fragrances like Kouros, but I think this fragrance here leaves a sexy scent trail in the air. Super masculine notes. Like I said, it's a little bit animalic, but it's very spicy, very heady florals. It's creamy as well. It's woody, very dense fragrance. If you just want a fragrance that's just strong and you don't necessarily care about how much it smells, which I would not advise, this one here will achieve that. I personally am blown away by it. This is also a blind buy and the first fragrance I got from this perfumer's house. The perfumer is Francesca Bianchi, and it is her personal house. She has quite a few releases out, and they're not that expensive, so that's what I like about them, but you are only getting 30 mils. But if any of the fragrances are like this one and as strong as this one is, you wouldn't need a lot of sprays anyway. This one in particular is not going to be for everybody. Like I said, it's very reminiscent of a fragrance like Kouros, but maybe a little bit more date night oriented. Me personally, I love old school uber masculine fragrances like this, but that's just me. If you don't like fragrances like this, do not blind buy this, even though it's not that expensive. I think I paid like $58 for it. Very high quality stuff, very strong fragrance, but again, not for everybody. Once again, Francesca Bianchi, Lost in Heaven. And finally, last but not least, from the house of Xerjoff, we have Neo. Xerjoff's Neo. Kind of glad I left this one last because I think this is going to be the one most people already know about. Beautiful citrus, floral, clean and fresh and soapy fragrance. Summertime staple from the house, very popular fragrance from the house. Definitely one of the easier wears from the house. I have to say, I'm a little ashamed that this is on my haul. I have been wanting this fragrance for over a year. I don't know why I've put it off. There's been plenty of chances to buy it. Plenty of the chances being at a great price for the fragrance. I don't know why I kept putting it off, but I did. But I said, you know what? It's time to finally get Neo. So now I finally have it. And you know what? I think what triggered it is the fact that it's just been so hot and so humid. And I've been like, okay, I got to get fragrances that I can wear in this ridiculous heat. This one is definitely one of them. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this fragrance. I think I've already mentioned it in a previous video. So I've gone into detail about it. And like I said, I know this is probably the most well-known fragrance on this list from most of you guys out there. And I imagine a number of you already have it. So once again, from the house of Xerjoff, this is Neo. All right, guys, that's gonna do it. As you can see, July was a big month. I didn't even count these. I think that was 12 fragrances. So yeah, pretty big haul for the month of July. Thanks for watching all the way into the end. Remember to be well and smell well. And I will see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Wheel. Have a good one.